badasses.
Ecto Radio.
Nothing in his path was safe. Not the planes in the sky. Not the ships at sea. Not the men. Nor the vehicles on the ground.
Ecto Radio. The ghost hunting badasses.
It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
Only on the Supernatural Radio Network. Fear-fueled, whiskey-filtered paranormal radio.
Okay, welcome to Ecto Radio and the Hitman.
I am Racer.
I am Wicked Wendy.
Oh, you gotta turn your mic on.
Oh,
Yeah,
I am Wicked Wendy.
There we
There she
go.
is.
a little better. Awfully bright here.
Oh yeah, I'm chocolate.
Oh, that's fine. We'll be well
It's
lit.
garish.
Well lit.
Well lit.
Doesn't hurt
Well
anything. So anyway, let's see, what do we got going on tonight? We're going to be talking more about urban legends. We had fun with that last time, and it didn't long. And then we have a new segment called Ghost Tech. We're going to start. Again, it's everything from techniques to reviews of equipment and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that would be kind of an interesting thing to add in.
Very cool.
And then, a big Halloween excursion coming up for our Halloween show.
It's going to be amazing.
I can't wait.
I can't even tell
We figured
you.
we're actually going to do a live ghost hunt kind of a thing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we'll be
With a twist.
yeah. Kind of a crooked twist.
Twist.
a little humor. But that's, that's fine. All right, so the Bunnyman. We got a video here. Should we you guys want to just watch the video first and then we commentary on that?
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds good.
No, this oddly enough, because I'm going around, I'm looking for these things. The Bunnyman, seriously, people believe in this crap. But yeah, the story's actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
So
Welcome to Clifton. Population 210. This small town is tucked away in a quiet part of Fairfax County in Northern Virginia. This town and its railroad played a small part in the Civil War. But that's not all Clifton is known for. According to one popular legend, the town has a terrifying secret.
The Bunnyman legend says that on a cold Halloween night, a bus full of convicts was passing through Clifton en route to an insane asylum when suddenly the bus flipped off the road and crashed into the trees. Many convicts were killed, some survived and escaped. They were soon captured, all except Douglas Griffin. He was nowhere to be found. Strange things begun to happen. Residents found skinned and half-eaten rabbits hung from the railroad bridge on Colchester Road. It was Griffin, the Bunnyman they called him. Rabbits were his twisted calling card. But soon, residents found human bodies mauled and hung from the same bridge as the rabbits. Despite law enforcement efforts, the Bunnyman was never caught. Some believe his ghost haunts the old railroad bridge and the surrounding forest. Witnesses and ghost hunters claim that near midnight on Halloween, the Bunnyman appears under the bridge in a flash of light. And if you're caught standing on the railroad tracks above, you won't live to tell about it.
But this is all just an elaborate legend. Or is it? After I learned that Clifton, Colchester Road, and the railroad bridge are all real places as described in the legend, I thought maybe it was worth a little looking into. So I found a historian named Brian Conley at the Fairfax City Public Library. who had turned up some interesting research on the Bunnyman over the years.
Most legends have some basis in truth, even though it's oftentimes warped and hard to recognize. And we just started from the assumption that there was some event that must have occurred in Fairfax County or surroundings that had spawned this legend. And we went out, set out to look for it. After looking through a couple of weeks worth of newspapers, I found the first mention of the Bunnyman in October of 1970. Individual described as dressed in a bunny suit attacked a couple that were parked in a car near Burke, Virginia. Apparently is said to have confronted them with some kind of a line having to do with your trespassing or something close to that, and threw a hatchet through the car window. The couple drove off, no one was harmed. A couple of weeks later, the same individual, we assume, also dressed in white, vandalized a house under construction in the same area. It led me to conclude that this event, bizarre as it is, really was the genesis of the story.
But was this just a copycat of the psychotic Douglas Griffin Bunnyman? Or was this entire Griffin legend just some made-up story based on this bunny suit-wearing weirdo? I still had no links between the Bunnyman and the bridge. So, my friend Sam, who knew all about the legend, decided to take the chance and check out the bridge on a Halloween night.
It's like straight out of a horror movie or something. The old broken down fences and the woods, old train tracks, and no one really close. Like walking into it, it's almost like the second I pass into the bridge, I just kind of get like chills.
It seemed like, especially when you walked under the bridge, you just kind of hit this wall of something that just kind of sent a chill through your body. It definitely gave me an eerie feeling the whole time.
It's definitely something about being in a tunnel that makes you feel so trapped. It's probably the fact that you are.
And when we went up on the train tracks, that feeling just intensified. It was like as we were walking up the path, this feeling just kind of got thicker in the pit of my stomach. That just something was weird about it. Something was off.
It was you. You were trespassing. Probably a good idea. I'm about to pee in my freaking pants right now. Apparently, the Bunnyman usually appears on these train tracks around midnight, and right now I think it's around 11:50. So, say we go back down on the road before we get ourselves killed.
I kept hearing noises, catching shadows and stuff out of the corner of my eye, and that was terrifying. I got out of there as soon as I could.
What the? Like from my angle, because there's like light underneath it and stuff like that, it looks like something's honestly like dangling from the bridge. I say we call it a night. Head back to the truck.
And just as we were getting ready to leave, a policeman rolled up, and right off the bat, he came out and started yelling at us. He even went so far as to threaten us and say that if we didn't hand over our tape, we would be on the ground in handcuffs. I don't know if he really was within his legal ability to do that. Why take that footage? Luckily, they didn't know we had another tape of footage, so we still have some left, but I don't know, the way the police handled it really just made me think that much more. What are they trying to cover up? He was so insistent upon the fact that nothing had happened there, that there was no Bunnyman. People should try to find out for themselves, because there definitely was something weird that happened to me there, and I think that, you know, people should really make those decisions on their own and do their research. But if I had to tell someone, I would say that there was definitely something weird about the whole situation.
The Bunnyman Bridge. Some call it one of the scariest places in the country. Other people think the legend is just another made-up story. And maybe they're right. But after my strange encounter with the local police, I think maybe, just maybe, there's a little more to this than meets the eye.
Anyway, okay, so there you are. Bunnyman, the
Woo.
story. Now, there's some variants that you guys looked up that are different.
Well, we were kind of disappointed because, on one, it seemed like a really cool aspect of the story was that he was running from the police,
Right.
and he got hit by a train.
They found him, and he went up to the train tracks, and just before they got him, he was hit by a train.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, that's when they started seeing Bunnyman. And any time, not just like Halloween night.
Yeah, and it was all the time.
Yeah.
But and they said after he got hit by the train, it was maniacal laughter.
Yes. That
It
was
was
the
like
cool
he was
part.
finally free. And you know what I love about urban legends, though, is that, I mean, it's fun stuff just for the thrill of it.
Mhm.
You know, and it doesn't matter, I think, how old you get. You still love urban legends.
Oh, I do.
I mean, if we didn't like them, we wouldn't be talking about them, you know?
Well, they're fun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I love them.
Well, you know, that's kind of an interesting bit of it. I could totally see Zero being the Bunnyman. That's something he would do.
Yeah.
Bunnyman!
Well, we saw one picture of him in another one, and Razor said, "That looks just like Carl."
Yeah. It was funny you said that because it did look like
it
Carl.
did. It looked just like him. He would be a good Bunnyman.
You know, and Wicked Wendy had a good point, too. She was like, on one of the stories we were listening to, it was very Donnie Darko.
Yes.
You know,
Have you seen Donnie Darko, Hitman?
No.
Oh, you got to watch a movie. Yeah, the bunny in that is very maniacal.
Yeah, like just very ominous and
Ooh,
eerie.
yes, that is a real Bunnyman.
But I mean, it's kind of funny, though, when you think about it. If you think about an urban legend, like, oh, you gotta be careful from the Bunnyman. Like, tourists are gonna be like, wait, what? That sounds stupid. But when you actually get down to, like, the meat and potatoes of the whole story, it's pretty eerie. You know, it's a bus crash. So, I mean, if you look at the, you know, I don't want to say haunted aspect, but the quote-unquote, like, ghost aspect of it, not only did this guy escape, but all of these, you know, psychotic people died.
Right.
So, I mean, that could be a whole other twist on it, that not only is it him, but the souls of 25 other psychotic inmates from the asylum were brutally killed that evening. But, like, it could kind of spin off into this huge, like, monopoly of making money from this small town.
Yeah.
They just start charging ghost hunters like every other
It
place.
become paranormal
Yeah.
tourism.
Exactly.
Yep.
But that could be a really cool twist on it.
It could be.
But yeah, the Bunnyman was kind of cool. I don't think here in the Southwest, I've never really heard of a story that's similar to the Bunnyman. Because, I mean, it's the Bunnyman.
I know. Bunnyman.
Chupacabra Man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's quite a bit to it as well. I mean, if you look at it, there's just a bridge, so it's an actual place, but it might be the scariest place. It's just a bridge.
Well, yeah, and I at first I thought, oh, you know what they're going to say is he only comes to you when you honk in the tunnel, because everybody goes to a tunnel and honks.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that was going to be part of the urban legend.
Oh, yeah, because it is. It's what people always do that.
They go through tunnels and they honk.
But they had a lot of videos on there of, young people that were going through the bridge and, trying to see him. I remember here in New Mexico when I was younger, I mean, it was like, I was always peeping out my window into the arroyo behind, like, oh,
La Llorona.
Is La Llorona there? La Llorona. There we go, La Llorona.
You're getting good at that.
I know. That's what happens when
Proud of you.
You work on it.
Just a bit.
But I don't know. It's kind of a cool story. I just hate that it's the Bunnyman.
Yeah, it just sounds weird. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Wicked, crazy Rabbit Man.
Yeah, like Rabbit Man would actually be a little bit more creepy than the Bunnyman.
It's the Bunnyman.
Yeah, it's the Bunnyman.
Hippity hop hop, hippity hop hop, look at Bunnyman go.
Exactly.
It just doesn't sound.
It does. It's not ominous. It's not like if we were driving through there on a vacation and we were just having fun going to tourist traps. And
the cops they take your videotape.
Yeah.
Those guys threatened to take their tape.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
Probably they don't want the legend spread because kids will be up on the tracks.
Oh,
it's only a matter of time. Some dumbass gets hit by a train.
That's true.
That's true.
But still, I mean, if like I was saying though, I mean, if you're driving through that part of the country and you hear, oh, you should go check out the bridge because of the Bunnyman. It's like, no. No, thank you. I can think of a zillion other things I would rather do. But it's not a bad story. It's got a cool chapter. And it's always like an insane asylum or an escaped inmate.
Yeah.
You never hear about the crazed postal worker.
The cat lady.
Yeah.
The cat lady.
Yeah. I don't know. There was one about a dog lady, the old woman skin and bones, and it was that song I used to sing.
Yeah.
Well, I'd sing it for you guys, but it's too scary for me.
Don't scare me.
Way too scary. Don't scare me. Way too scary. I feel like I'm a little out of practice. It's been so long since I've been here. Our hiatus.
Yeah.
Well, how should you get it back?
Bitches and money.
So anyway, there you go, the Bunnyman. What are we doing next week? These guys said there was another one you want to do.
Yes.
Split face. What?
There's one. It's a Japanese, so you might. I'm surprised that you're not more familiar with it, but it's called the slit-mouth woman. And just an overview of who she is she's a ghost type woman who wears a mask at night, and when the children are not at home safe in their houses, she goes up to them and asks, do you think I'm beautiful? And regardless of the answer, she will kill them. But I guess she I don't know, she's more like a demon, but her mouth is slit almost from ear to ear, so her mouth opens and she becomes like this demon. But I mean, she's like really prevalent in the Japanese culture. There's, when Wicked Wendy and I would do a couple presentations, there are some cultural ghosts and stuff that we would bring up, and the kids would actually get uncomfortable because it was taboo in their households to talk about it.
Right.
So,
especially that word that I always had to say and you couldn't.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll stay. Just kidding. But
nothing's happened to me since. So,
yeah.
So we'll do that next week. So on the ghost tech thing, I was kind of wanting to, kind of interesting, last Thursday, it was actually kind of interesting. I have a friend that's, he's really good at poker, and he goes out to the casino, and and invited me out to have a couple of beers. And what it was in the tournament, you play a game, and then you have like a 20-minute recess, away from it.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted someone to drink with, really.
Yeah.
But I was okay. Because, he was winning. So he'd come back, got $100, one hot wings, another margarita.
Nice.
So he was buying, so I was like, sure. But anyways, we got in a conversation, and not being familiar with ghost hunting or the paranormal or any of that, he was asking me, so what's the difference between now and then? Why I disagree with the TV shows more specifically and everything. And I kind of had an epiphany. It came up with a really good way to explain the difference. So I thought we'd kind of do that on the ghost tech thing, and then it's a nice lead into next week too. But generally nowadays, you hear people saying this a lot. We're going to such and such place to investigate paranormal activity.
Mm-hmm.
You see, if that's what you're doing it wrong. Because A, you've already made an assumption that there's paranormal activity there. We talked about it a little bit in the past when we were talking the word investigation. It involves the analysis of known facts. And, well, we don't know for sure if ghosts exist or EVP or none of that's been proven. So what you're really doing is you're going to check the claims of the witnesses. That's something you can investigate.
Right.
And the problem is with the TV shows, it's gotten away from it's about the witnesses. And the analogy I used with them, I said, all right, let's put it in a different pot and see how this cooks up. So imagine I'm a biologist, and I study crocodiles. And I'm walking down by the river, and wow, this is good habitat. Crocodile could live here. There's water and plenty of things, Maybe there's enough fish in there for them to eat. Well, no. You know what I mean? And it's kind of the ghost hunters do the same thing. That place looks freaky, therefore it must be haunted.
Yeah.
And a lot of these ghost hunts are launched on places that have no witnesses. There needs to be a witness there. Now, indeed, I could find somebody that saw a crocodile in the Rio Grande. He said, okay, there's a crocodile. Okay, now I would interview the witness. There's something to actually investigate. There's a claim. Get more of a description. Maybe this crocodile was actually a little tiny baby one he claimed to see, and it turns out in the end it was a lizard that is common in the area. Who knows? But it's all about the witnesses. And at this point, he said, okay, well, that's kind of an unfair kind of analogy, because a biologist, we know crocodiles exist, and there's a set course of study. So you would be able to know that there shouldn't be a crocodile here in New Mexico because of the climate, and things aren't right for them to live here. I said, well, it's true in ghost hunting too. There has been research done. There's things that if you go and you're investigating it, you've got to take into fact all the research that was done before you. The Society of Psychical Research and a bunch of others have done a whole bunch of stuff. And there's basically three big things that we know that we can take into account. And the first is that their study indicates that this haunting type phenomenon occurs to objects, people, and places. And it's always one of the three. And that's kind of interesting, because I was thinking back to Tombstone. When you go back there in the late 80s, and the phenomenon you would hear about in Big Nose Kate's was the stairs that lead down into the basement. They're right next to where the Swampers lair is down there. There's some stairs off to the left that go up into the kitchen. And they would claim when they came down the stairs, there was cold spots, feeling of sense presence, and something would push them off the bottom steps. And then, of course, you had the big phenomenon, which I witnessed, was the glasses being chucked off the bar.
Right.
Well, eventually those stairs got too rickety, and so they ripped them out and they replaced them. What's weird, no more people getting weirded out on the steps, no more push, no more chuck glasses off the bar. That all stops. Which would indicate, okay, it's a haunting of an object. From that point, you can kind of see where people really went off on that whole residual haunting hypothesis. Even though, it defies many known laws of physics, but you can see how you can make that connection.
Right.
And then we also know from going out, well, there's haunted places that become more active when construction's done on them.
Right.
So that was kind of fun and interesting to do. So the next thing that they really came out and studied hard is that all the phenomenon repeats. It's all repeated behavior. We took it a little bit further. We actually did a test looking at the repeat behavior and found out not only does the weird stuff repeat, the unexplainable stuff, but the explainable stuff repeats too, which is kind of important. if you know that, then you see anything off of the ordinary. Let's say, like, I'm trending what 5 witnesses have seen. I look for the things they all have in common. And those one single little isolated incident, like getting scratched or something, and there's just one account of it, that could be myth building. It could be bias from the witness, could have a skin allergy or something, and, mistaking it as criminal activity. It helps you figure out what you should actually investigate. So the repeating behavior is important. Been studied before, been established. And the final thing is they did a whole bunch of research, starting from literature, going all the way into interviewing people who have had experiences, literally hundreds of accounts. What is the phenomenon that they typically see? And they define that. So you have apparitions, of course. We also have objects being moved. Sensation-wise, you have cold spots, feeling of being touched. Then we have audio, which is knocks, raps, disembodied voices. And that's it. Now, if you look at the gambit today, we got hair pulling and scratching and possession. If you go back and you study all the old stuff, you don't find these things coming in till early 70s. Horror movie comes in and starts affecting what people think it is, and that's when we start seeing more of the myth building. So it kind of helps you know if you're looking for those things that have been well established and you're not seeing them, something to look at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes sense.
And one of the things that we wrapped that conversation up with was I was talking about the whole spiritualist movement that was going back in the 1920s. And that's, of course, those of you who don't know, they had the big retreats with the mediums, and you would go, and then they would try to contact your dead relatives and all that.
Right.
And in fact, we had this conversation, I think we did on the show,
Long time ago.
where we were talking about some of the questions we asked. Can you knock on that wall over there? Can you do that?
Yeah.
That all comes from that whole type of thing. But I think what we're seeing now, because of the TV shows, is a resurgence of that kind of thing. And we're even seeing it, like Racer did on one of her paranormal news reports, where they're now selling the little saint medals to protect you from ghosts and all that kind of stuff.
Gosh.
It's kind of leaning more into that spiritualist movement again.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing, and it's going to end the same way, is the way that ended in the 20s is you had more of your skeptic people coming out and debunking them, catching them doing fraud and all that kind of stuff, and it kind of faded out. And you're seeing that same thing happening now. You're seeing all the watchdog little groups that are on Facebook and other places demanding that people actually provide proof and know that's a,
Right.
an app that you took that photograph with. Here, look, I have the same app. Here it is, recreated, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of going the same way, actually. So it's kind of interesting. But next week, what we're going to go over is the 10 most important questions to ask that witness.
That's good.
That is a good one.
So we'll talk about, and there's a lot of them. You get tons of information off one question. It gives you a big clue. And more about the validity. A lot of your skeptics say, well, it's just anecdotal evidence. Actually, science is based on evidence, you think about it.
Yeah.
So it is more. In fact, if it was just anecdotal, we wouldn't be able to convict people of crimes. So the key there is kind of like, how does law enforcement look at witnesses? And it kind of gives you the clue of how to do it with what to do.
That'll be really cool. We'll take notes.
So,
Yes.
Bring a notebook next week.
Promise.
right. Well, now we're going to pre-record our Halloween thing because we. So for there's no show, you might want to check us up on Facebook, see if we're still live.
Yeah.
We're going to a spooky place,
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are.
undisclosed location.
It's spooky too.
Girls freak out.
And Hitman has a really bad idea of what we're gonna do there, so I hope we everything goes okay.
I'm kind of scared. Just saying.
What? The consent forms?
Yeah.
I don't want you.
The last time you had an idea like this, we ended up with spirit guide animals running amok in the studio.
Yeah.
What wasn't that bad?
Mm-hmm. For you.
That was perfectly fine.
Poochie haunting.
You still remember it?
Yep.
Well, of course. Those were the fun moments.
Burned into my brain.
And that's it. That's going to be it for us this week. Hopefully, if all goes well, we'll be back next week with more urban legends.
Yes.
But we'll do another prom ghost deck. Maybe we'll have some paranormal news.
Yeah.
We just got to remember to move that computer and we'll be good to go.
That's right.
Listen, we'll see you guys next week.
Audience.
Good night.